a contest between India and Australia at long last. And thankfully, a losing streak that's been snapped at long last by India. They've taken the last game. Australia still take the series, but a thoroughly entertaining third and final ODI of the series at the Manak Oval in Canberra. We're going to look back at it on ESPN Cricket for Match Day with Tom Moody and Deepdas Gupta. Gentlemen, a very entertaining game, a chase that you felt initially India had started well with wickets. Then Australia looked in pole position with Maxwell, Carey, and Ashton Agar. And then India's bowlers again turned the table. It's the perfect ebb and flow of the ODI game, which we don't get in a T20 game. It's okay. We have to watch it for 8 hours. That's the beauty of the ODI game. You give teams a chance to come back.
True, but this being the third ODI, you've got used to it. The first one seemed a little longer than usual, but got used to it after the first two. But yeah, what a game! Very interesting game. Seesaw of a game, humdinger of a game. I mean, till the time Maxwell was around, it seemed like Australia's going to make it a whitewash, a clean sweep. But then again, Bumrah coming back, showing what he's all about. That was the turning point as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, simple as that. Let's start right there. That's the turning point for you as well, Tom, the wicket of Glenn Maxwell.
Yeah, look, that was obviously key. Maxwell's in sublime form, and once he was at the crease, it was always going to be in Australia's hands. So that was a key wicket, a beautiful piece of bowling from Bumrah. Again, we know that he possesses those brilliant sort of angled Yorkers to the right-handers. In a way, I was a little bit surprised with Maxwell not recognising, that as a key over and just taking limited risk against Bumrah. He'd done the hard work, Maxwell, and really the main threat for Maxwell was always going to be Bumrah. No one else in the attack that I don't think he could fear losing his wicket as much as it would be with Jasprit Bumrah.
I guess the conversation around Glenn Maxwell after this series, it's been a spectacular series for Maxwell. The perfect end would have been had he taken Australia home today, but he had a big impact in the first two games to push Australia to a score that was well beyond India. And today as well, he had to do it, you could say, the hard way. He didn't have too many top order batsmen with him, Tom. And the question that fans of the IPL and others will ask is, where does this Glenn Maxwell go during the IPL?
Maybe he needs to play for an IPL team that's got a gold-coloured top. So maybe Chennai Super Kings is his team. Who knows? But yeah, look, we all know what Maxwell's capable of, and you only have to look at his numbers. His numbers tell you the story. Extremely high strike rate, and a terrific average. He's gone missing in the IPL, particularly this year for Kings 11, and I can't tell you why. I think maybe the fact that he never really got an opportunity to get any momentum from a batting perspective because Agarwal and KL Rahul, occupied the crease for so long in the early parts of the tournament. Maybe he needed to have more exposure. But, there's no denying this guy is a super talent and a spectacular talent because he can do things that very few can do. That, like, for instance, that reverse sweep for 6 went 100 metres. Who does that? That's a ridiculous shot. I know you only have to get it over the line for a 6, but he's sent it another 30 yards beyond the line.
Yeah, and it's not just those reverse sweeps that we know he's capable of, Deep. He gets into the zone then that he actually toys with the field. We saw that in that over against Natarajan. Someone like Glenn Maxwell who's ended a strike rate of 194. That's his personal best in a bilateral ODI series. So we know he's dangerous.
He is. And it's not about big hitting, just about big hitting. I mean, some of those shots over extra cover or through the covers, that was like proper orthodox cricketing shots. So he's a combination of, unorthodox shots, as Tom mentioned, and some really good cricketing shots and maturity. I think that's what he's been batting with, a lot of maturity in the last few years for Australia. I don't know. I just have a feeling that he's someone who needs needs a right kind of environment for him to perform at his best. And maybe in IPL, maybe he does not get it. Maybe that Australian dressing room is what gives him that kind of an environment where he can give his best. But listen, he's not just about bare hitting. I guess this ODI series was a good example of that. Was matured batting overall.
All right. He did admit on Twitter to Jimmy Neesham that after the first ODI itself, he turned around to KL Rahul, keeping behind the stumps, and said sorry for not being this for 2 months in the IPL. But well done, Glenn Maxwell. Heck of a series. Maybe he's a contender for the man of the series award, unless you want to go with Aaron Finch or Steve Smith or Josh Hazelwood. I'll come to that later. But let's give full credit to India's bowlers. A new look bowling attack, Tom. And how would you rate the first 10 overs of international cricket for Natarajan, and maybe before that, the impact of Shardul Thakur in his first game?
Yeah, look, I think Thakur, for a start, I thought bowled really well. He provides a point of difference to that side, which I quite like. I know that Saini played the first couple of games and they're sort of earmarking him for the test matches, but I think Thakur provides a real good point of difference in ODI cricket, because he's got the good change of pace, he's got the Yorker, he can swing the ball as well, which is important if there's anything to offer in the air. He's got the skill set to be able to swing the ball. To me, he's an exciting package because he can provide many ways to take wickets. Natarajan, I think he can walk away from his first ODI feeling pretty pleased with himself. Open the bowling, which I was surprised to see him open the bowling, actually. But anyway, great chance for him to take the new ball. Took an early wicket. Manas Labuschagne is a form player, a key player for Australia, so he removed him early, and he did a good job. One thing that impressed me with him was that he's built his reputation around his Yorkers, and he still managed under the spotlight of international cricket to still execute his Yorkers. He got a number of his Yorkers in when he wanted to. To me, that's a good sign. To me, that he feels comfortable out there. He feels, that he's not overawed by the situation, and he managed to do the job for his country.
Like that point that Tom makes, Deep, that he has many ways of taking wicket, Shardul Thakur. One is down the leg side, but come on, let's take nothing away from Shardul. He bowled that brilliant spell to Cameron Green up front and didn't get a wicket.
Listen, Ronak, because I've heard that way too many times on commentary as well. But you know what? I would have said that was unfortunate for a lot of batsmen. But for Steve Smith, who comes across so much, I don't think that's unfortunate. There have been times where England has actually got a leg slip and a leg gully for him just to get him out in that fashion. And he's been out quite a few times. So I'm not going to say that was unfortunate for Steve Smith, because that's how he bats.
It's not the first, Deep. It's not the first English team that's tried to get one of Australia's great batsmen down the leg side. But Donald Bradman had to deal with the bodyline series with about six fielders around the corner.
That's how hard it is to get Bradman and Smith out. Now I'm from Italian. I subscribe to the bowler school of cricket, and it's okay to get wickets of not your greatest balls, because sometimes you don't get it of your best ones. But Tom talks about how he's a bowler that can get wickets in many ways. He seems to have a more varied skill set as a fast bowler, which begs the question whether he should have played earlier in the series. Deep?
Listen, man, when I gave my team for the first ODI, he was there in my team because, as Tom mentioned, I think he brings something different to the table. He's not a hit the deck bowler. He's more of a swing bowler who has other skill sets as well, like the slower one, variations, and everything else. But he is predominantly a swing bowler, not the hit the deck bowler like Navdeep Saini is, Bumrah, and Shami. So for me, I think he comes in, and he also has the ability to bat at number 8. He can contribute with the bat, with 20-25 runs almost every game. So for me, I think he should be part of that ODI side, ODI setup, and should play more often. And I too was kind of surprised that he didn't take the new ball.
Yeah, he came into this game, Tom, with 12 wickets from 11 ODIs, not the greatest numbers in one-day international cricket. He comes to the back of an IPL where he didn't start for CSK. I remember the sort of impact he had when he came midway through. The wickets he took. He got AB de Villiers, he's got Russell, he got Rahul and Pooran in a game that turned it around for Chennai. There are still questions perhaps in saying, is he an effective 50-over bowler with the evidence of his first 11 games, which have been few and far in between? Now, what have you made of Shardul Thakur, and how should India use him going forward?
It's a really interesting question you post there, because I think at times, particularly for fast bowlers, the reflection of their numbers are distorted because they play most of their cricket in India, where they're having to deal with totals 300 plus every single time. So conditions don't suit. Ball rarely swings. that you don't get the bounce that you can get on some of the Australian surfaces or the South African surfaces. You don't get the movement that you would do maybe in New Zealand or England. So it's a pretty hard school if you're a fast bowler in India, that is. So, I think you need to look beyond that at times and look at what a bowler has to offer your side and what phases of the game can he have an impact. To me, Tuckle can have an impact at all three phases. He can take the new ball. He's got the skills to be able to take advantage of the new ball if there is movement and swing. He's got those skills. He's got the skills to be able to bowl in the middle of the innings with his change of pace. And also you can rely on him at the back end of the innings. So what he's done historically for India, again, I don't know where he's played his matches and why he didn't start in the CSK lineup. Again, you need to be in the four walls of their think tank to know why he didn't start. Maybe, his form wasn't good at the start in the pre-season preparations, whatever it might be. He might have had a niggle. We don't know. But to me, he's the real deal. He's a real, nice package, and he offers a lot to that Indian ODI side.
All right. Deep, thoughts on Natarajan?
Listen, it's too early, but I was very impressed, especially his last 3 overs after the over that when he went for plenty against Maxwell. The way he came back showed a lot of character. Again, listen, it's not easy. It's never easy for me. Making your debut in Australia under these conditions, bowling to Maxwell and all, but I thought it was impressive. I thought impressive and somebody you can invest in and should invest in.
All right, now let's look back. Series has gone to Australia, but let's look back at takeaways from this series for both sides, and we'll start with India. And it's something that's been significant in the win in the third game as well. Hardik Pandya, the batsman, the outright batsman, Deep, perhaps the biggest takeaway for India?
Absolutely, yes. And not just the quantum of runs that he scored, but how he scored in those 2 big knocks that he's played in this ODI series. The maturity that he's shown, the fact that he can bat like a batsman, think like a batsman, and kind of build an innings under very, very tough conditions, under challenging conditions against really, really top bowling side as well. So I think that's a huge positive. And if he manages to can bowl 3-4 overs, even if not, his whole 10 overs quota, that'll be an absolute bonus. But as a batsman, I think huge positive for India.
Yeah, Tom.
Yeah, absolutely. He's he's a wonderful player, and we've seen him evolve over the last 12 to 18 months, and he's turned into a real match winner. When you add the bowling that he can offer, he is the perfect package all-rounder for India in both T20 cricket and 50-over cricket. What has impressed me is his temperament. I knew that he had the skill. I knew he had the power, but I wasn't sure in 50-over cricket where he had the temperament and the cricketing nous to be able to navigate various different challenges that 50-over cricket can throw your way, and he did that comfortably. So, yeah, hats off to him. He's certainly an exciting player to watch going forward.
I'd love to throw something out of the box to both of you, and I don't know if you'll catch it or no, but looking at how he's batted this tournament, this series, is he good enough to bat any higher than 6 and open up a middle order slot for India to continue experimenting, finding batters who can bowl or bowlers who can bat, and try and solve this issue of the extra options with the ball? Is he good enough to bat any higher than 6, or is that where he should be no matter? Deep?
He obviously can bat higher. There's no two ways of the way he's batted in this series. Obviously, he can bat higher. But then how high do you want him to bat? That's the question. Do you want someone like KL Rahul to come and bat at 4? He comes at 5. But ideally speaking, I would be looking at a left-hander. I would be looking at a left-hand in the top 5. India does not. I mean, if Shikhar is there, it's fine. If he's not, then you don't have a left-hander in your top 5. So I'd be trying to look at a left-hander somewhere there in and around that Indian squad. But yes, to answer your question, I think he has the ability to bat higher.
Yeah, perhaps it's a question to add Jadeja into the conversation too, Tom, on whether Jadeja, through the confidence he's shown in today's game, and he continues this improved batting effort in international cricket over the last 12 or 18 months, with both Hardik and Jadeja step by step making a case to bat higher and therefore open up more options, more versatility for an Indian ODI side going forward?
I wouldn't. I'd put it back in the box if I was you. Purely on the basis that to bat number 6 in ODI cricket and to bat in that position 5-6 in T20 cricket is one of the hardest positions to bat. Hardik is coming to terms with it and becoming very, very well equipped at it. I wouldn't be changing something that's very hard to find. He has found it, and he is the perfect finisher because he's got all the skills to be able to do that. So I wouldn't be looking to, change that to break something else. So I would continue with his role there. The same with Jadeja. I think Jadeja is a perfect number 7. He seems to understand that role. I think if you throw him further up, again, it's a different game completely. You can look good at 7, but then you thrust it in a number 4. It's a completely different game. So if I was the Indian selectors, I'd be thinking, well, number 6 is a lock, number 7's a lock. We now need to work out exactly what the middle looks around Virat Kohli and how we're going to do that, whether it's a left-hander, whatever it might be, just to make sure that we are heading in the right directions. Because what India seemed to do leading into the last World Cup in the UK was do everything right until about 6 to 8 months out. And then they suddenly decided that Raidu was not the man to bat in that middle order position, and it suddenly threw everything out of kilter. To me, stability is really important. Find that stability and stick with it.
And biggest concern for India going from this, or biggest area of improvement needed, Deep? Is it just getting Hardik Pandya bowling fit and that takes care of a lot of problems? Or is it more than that? Is it wickets in the power play when they have to bowl first?
Listen, the wicket in the power play and everything else, I think today was a good example. I think if the bowlers would have got their lengths right and maybe longer spells. Today, obviously, Bumrah bowled a 5-over spell. The first spell was 5 overs, and he got that chance that was dropped off him was of the 4th over that he bowled. Then in the 5th, he dropped a cotton bowl chance. So yeah, I think I really don't think there's too much that needs to be changed or needs to look into. It's just that those 1%ers, I guess, tactically as well. I think that's about it. I think if they had adapted to the 50 overs format a little quicker, a little earlier, maybe from Virat's perspective, from captaincy perspective as well, maybe longer spells, a little longer, not 2-over spells, could have been a difference then.
Change of toss and result of toss could have been a different story as well, from 4 it's worth.
Yeah, look, I think the advantage Australia had in Sydney, the toss was important. I still feel Australia completely outplayed and far superior side to India in the first 2 matches. Different story here. The toss was important, but would we be saying the same thing if Maxwell and Carey continued their partnership, and more importantly, if Carey didn't get run out? They looked in complete control of that run chase, like they were similarly in a run chase in England just recently in an ODI series and won it. So, I think, obviously that run out was key, and then obviously Bumrah dismissing Maxwell was the end of Australians' hope of chasing that total down. But I think, to be honest with you, India's 302, I think it was just a pass score. Yep. Australia failed, their top order failed to really get their teeth into an established, start, which cost them.
Yeah, in fairness, though, this is a...
Quickly, I just want to add that, is there anyone who's not playing apart from Rohit that you would want to get back into this side? I don't think so, apart from Mohammad Shami, who obviously will get in. So there isn't anyone who's sitting outside who you'd want in that playing 11. So this is, roughly speaking, Rohit back in and Mohammad Shami back in would be your best, possibly the best playing 11 at this point in time. So there isn't too many players sitting outside who you'd want to get in. So this is what you have. You have to kind of make the best out of what you have.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about Australia's takeaways. Now, this is perhaps a game that you wouldn't want to go too deep into. They didn't have David Warner. They didn't have Pat Cummins. No Mitchell Starc, even though he didn't have the most impressive couple of games. But Tom, if we look back at the major takeaways for Australia from this ODI series, is it just the all-round batting muscle that they flexed? Is it Josh Hazlewood leading this bowling attack arguably now?
I don't think he certainly led it in this series. I don't think that he's suddenly taken over the mantle from Pat Cummins, who I think has led the attack over the past 12 months or so. I think, the takeaways for Australia is Smith's in sublime form, which is ominous sign for the Test series. Hazelwood is in good form, which is obviously a good sign for Australia leading into the Test series. And I think Australia look a pretty well organised and balanced ODI side. And I think that's a positive moving forward. Even though we haven't got a World Cup in 50-over cricket until 2023, they've got all their bases covered. Their top orders well established. They've got a number of all-round options they can turn to, and their bowling attack has got some real experience and some impact. So, I think they're in a pretty good place. And I suppose the other positive, which is a moment where Kings 11 will cringe a bit, but Maxwell is an absolute superstar, and we've seen what he's capable of doing, and anyone would like him in their side playing like that.
All right, the depth of Australia, it's almost intimidating for the rest of the world to see. You lose key players, and there are plenty in the reserves to fill those gaps.
Absolutely. The depth, even in their playing 11, the depth they have in their batting lineup, the depth in their bowling lineup. Listen, I think this is one of the best sides that you have in world cricket in 50 overs, along with England to a great extent. So they've got a really good side. I think it's almost set, this side. I mean, again with Australia, I don't know whether there's anyone else you would want to come in. I mean, in fact, they've got plenty, to be honest, and especially the all-rounder slot. That's something that India is missing. So I think, it's a well-settled side. Everyone seems to be in good form and good nick. That's what they want before the World Cup.
Any areas of improvement at all, Tom, that need immediate addressing?
For the Australian side?
Yes.
Look, in ODI cricket, no, I don't think, that there's much more they can do. I think they've got the right people there. When they play their best 11, I think it's one of the best 11s, in ODI cricket in the world. I think they can comfortably feel confident competing against the best sides. And they've got flexibility of depth and options. So, to me, they've got most things covered. And one thing we haven't mentioned, which I've mentioned before, but, Adam Zampa, I think, also is a bit of an unsung hero in this whole Australian ODI success. In that, what he does it very, very successfully, and he does it against, he manages to bowl very well against the very best players in the world.
I guess one area of improvement, Deep, that Indian fans would like is the fielding to get back to the high standard that we've known of, and if of India in recent times at least. Catches still seem to be going down, still misses in the field. Will that just fix itself over time?
Listen, obviously they need to work hard on it, and they're a good fielding side. India is a really good fielding side, good catching side, but unfortunately it hasn't been in this series. You've seen someone like Jadeja dropping catches. Today Shikhar dropped a sitter. So I think, something that really they need to look into, and they need to work on it. As simple as that. But they're definitely better than this.
All right. Now, we're going to stay in Canberra for the T20I series. We'll get plenty more from Deep Das Gupta and Tom Moody then, gentlemen. Thank you very much. And we will look forward to your thoughts as this tour now moves to the T20I leg that starts in a couple of days' time. First of 3 T20Is will be with you for build-up on ESPN Cricket for Matchday. And a reminder, viewers in India, make sure you catch clips, highlights, best moments, analysis, all that you need to watch from this India-Australia series on ESPNcricinfo.com, as well as the mobile app. We'll have the action from this third ODI as well, and we'll continue to have it through the course of this Australia tour that India are undergoing. We'll see you then for the first T20I on ESPN Cricinfo Matchday. Bye-bye.